Being a main character is cute and all, but stepping into director energy, that's when your life will completely change. You are not here to play some role. You're here to write the script. So I want to share some personal stories regarding this with you, but before we get into that, I should probably introduce myself. So my name's Allison and I am the founder of the Pseudo Studio. So my background is in architecture, and the Pseudo Studio is a design studio for reality bubbles. So we take that training, the training that I've had as an architect, and those skills, and apply it to whatever creative babies that you want to birth into this world. I am your midwife. So what could this look like? It could be a video game that you've had it on your heart to create, or let's say a business that is something you've dreamed of building for a very long time. Maybe it's a new reality for yourself. Like, forget those little things. Let's do a full new reality shift. Or maybe even a space to support all of that. I am here for you. I'm excited to collaborate on those things. If this sings to you, please check out my services on my website below. It's in the description, but I'll also share it with you here now. It is www.thepseudostudio.com. Okay, cool. Story time now. So we're going to start in Chipotle, the motherland, where all good stories start. So this one's a little bit more benign and subtle. So I'm going to get my food. I pick up my food. I go to get a drink, as you do. And I'm at the drinking soda fountain, and I fill my cup all the way up, thinking that there would be a lid. And I scooch over to the right, just a smidge. Sounds so Midwestern. And I realize, oh no, there are no lids, and I have a very full cup. Like, you could see the surface tension. It was really quite impressive. And I quickly am trying to figure out, oh no, how do I get to my car with this on my hands without making a mess, without like creating a problem for the employees there, while also juggling my wallet, my keys, my purse, and the actual bag of food that I came to get. And as I'm sorting through this on my own, a young woman, probably high school age, early college, scooches right in to the drinking fountain, soda fountain area, and says, "Oh, excuse me, I just want to make sure I don't get any no drink splashes on your sleeve," which is very sweet. But there was still, it was very clear that she was rushing. It was a very linear progression. Like, I need to get my drink so that I can leave and go do this, and then this, and this, and this. There wasn't much of a pause, and we'll get into that more later. For now, I just ask that you hold this story in mind as we continue discussing all of this. The second story is me and my dog Button, my Labrador Retriever, went on a hike on a recent morning. And to get back into the parking garage for a building on our way home, we have to enter this very street down below us. And it's the only way to get to this parking garage entrance. So I pull right outside of the street, getting ready to turn left, when I realize that there is a semi-truck completely blocking the entrance to this street. So just fully, there's no way around the semi-truck. And it's there to deliver food and stuff to a local restaurant. But it does appear that he is getting ready to leave. So I take a pause to just ascertain how long he's going to be there, because I'd like to get home. I'd like to move on with my day. And this person in the car behind me, who's already been riding my tail for the past 5 minutes, very intimate car bonding experience, honks at me. And I kid you not, I've only been there for maybe a couple seconds. This is not some drawn out thing. It was very quick. And of course, I was angry at first. It's not even personal. Just one of my biggest pet peeves is people pushing their own agenda on other people. But I'd like to discuss how these connect more than my anger with the theme of today, which is moving from main character energy to director energy. So before we get too far into that, I want to just share a little bit of a reflection that I hope will be like a little bit of an entry point into this. So I could have matched their rush. I could have matched that energy they were giving off. Like in the case of the honking incident, there was some clear anger and impatience happening there. But I stayed in my scene. I stayed present with the story that I'm currently choosing to live, and I focused on that which is in my locus of control. That is the big difference between main character energy and director energy. It's being in somebody else's script, and I would say that rushing urgency is almost always indicative of somebody else being in the driver's seat of your life or something. So before we get into the hallmarks of both the main character energy, director energy, and how it ties into those stories that I shared with you, I would say that it's not only important to name and acknowledge the patterns that you see around you, but it's also important to stay present with their alignment to the story that you're choosing to create for yourself, and stay embodied and present. Your body ultimately has all the answers to all of this. So, the main character trap. I would say, as hallmarks go, and you'll see each of these reflected in the stories that I shared with you, they're reactive. That's like the first hallmark. Very apparent in the second story, the honking story. It's, oh, you are getting in the way of my plans, which also happened to me. The truck was not in my plans for the day. I had a long list of things I wanted to get done. Being caught and prevented from getting into my home by a semi-truck, not on that list. But instead of taking a pause, seeing the bigger picture, and making an aligned choice and integrity, it was reactive to that moment and resulting in honking at me. And I would say also, it's present at a more subtle level in that first story I shared with you, the Chipotle story. So this young woman, and I'm not saying that either of these people are malicious, villains, whatever. This is just a different way of being. So she was clearly in a rush as well. And when that happens, like there's this feeling of urgency that comes up in your body. I hate that feeling. I hate being rushed. And it wants to move through you. You think that if you just act on it, whatever it is, you'll feel better. And that was happening there as well. But it takes away your agency. It takes away your ability to write a script for yourself. Another hallmark is that main character energy is plot driven, and it's ultimately following scripts that aren't their own. So also very apparent in both stories. I don't know what was happening with either of these individuals. I'm not going to pretend to. One of the things I love most about human beings is how absolutely complex we are. But let's say, just for example, the person driving the car behind me that honked at me was late for work. So plot driven, letting somebody else write their scripts. So an example of this could be, oh, I'm going to be 10 minutes late to work. My boss is going to hate me, going to fire me, whatever. That's letting somebody else write the script for you. And it's not always necessarily even an external thing or person in particular that's doing it. It could even be just the inherited programming you received from your parents, your family, your community, society even. And when you don't cultivate embodiment or conscious awareness, it's easy for you to fall victim to these scripts that you're being handed without questioning them. You just begin to live your life according to them. So main character energy, once again, is externally directed. It's letting other things call the shots rather than who you are at your core, your soul self. And then it's also validated by motion, action, achievement, and is motivated by pressure and validation. So like I was saying before, this sense of urgency. And it doesn't always come from rushing. It could just feel like pressure from external forces. Like you need to make this decision. You need to do this thing to get X, whatever. It doesn't feel good in the body. It feels yucky. It can feel hot. It can feel like anger. It can feel annoying, irritable, whatever it is for you. We're all different people. We embody this differently. But it feels like, and we all get tricked into this belief that if we just act on whatever the external directive is, we'll feel better. So, let's say once again your boss tells you that you need to get all of this work done before you leave for the day or you're fired. That is an example of this, and it is going to create that feeling, that fight or flight response in you, that nervous system arousal response within you. And you're going to feel like the way through that to fix it is to just act on it. Like, I will stay here as long as I need to, sacrifice my needs, whatever needs to be done, so that I don't get fired. This is a symptom of that main character energy trap. So, what does director energy, that archetype, look like in a tangible sense then? So I would say the director archetype chooses the pace. So now that I live on the other side of this fence, because I have been this person before too, I have much empathy for people that aren't awake, haven't been able to cultivate that conscious awareness or embodiment yet. I understand. But now on the other side of that, I get to choose my own pace. In that scenario with the boss, I wouldn't let that happen. Like, there are things that just aren't worth that sacrifice to me anymore. And yeah, we're going to leave that there. But also, like, I personally like to live in alignment with my own natural rhythms. So one scale of this looks like I am a human being that menstruates. So I like to live in accordance with my menstrual cycle and those internal seasons within me. And then also just I am a unique individual, and some days I'm on, some days I'm most certainly not. And living from this paradigm of director energy, this archetype, it allows me to be like, oh, this is what today's going to look like. Here's how we're going to co-create with the environment of today. The director also holds the wider vision. So let's run a little experiment here. What does this look like? So, and it also, hold on just a minute. Before we run the experiment, I should also say that the director writes the script in real time through conscious awareness and embodiment. Those two things go together hand in hand quite well. With the Chipotle story, I would say my reaction to this situation illustrates this pretty well. So this young woman is clearly going through this linear process. A, then B, then C, then D, and rather than engaging like I would have in the past, because that was a part of my programming, people-pleasing 101, I would have felt like I needed to get swept up in her story that she was writing and make her feel better, whatever. Like, oh, thank you for saying, like, warning me, whatever. And I'm not saying that she wasn't sweet. She was very sweet. I'm not trying to shame her or anything. Instead of doing that, I was able to be with myself, embodied, feel what's coming up in my body, and hold the magnifying glass against that, my surroundings, and then also what story am I writing? What would be most aligned and in integrity with me in this moment? So what I decided to do was not engage with her, not even respond. And this is because I'm not already somebody who like loves being in crowded public spaces, which this was. It was like Chipotle at lunch hour. And I knew that the addition of having like a overfilled cup, which was my bad, and trying to juggle all these things and very swiftly get to my car with little incident would be very overstimulating for me. So rather than expending my precious energy to make her feel better, I just didn't engage. Not that I was trying to be rude or anything. It's not like I gave her a mean glance or whatever. It's just I need to take care of my own shit right now. Godspeed, blessings. um, so that's one way of doing that, like tending to yourself. I know that I want to create more peace in myself. I don't want to be living in a dysregulated state. So those choices align with that. I also don't feel the need to be responsible for somebody else's emotions or whatever anymore. And then with the truck story, we'll play this experiment again real quick. I immediately felt anger. Once again, that's just one of my biggest pet peeves is somebody forcing other people onto their own agenda. So I honored that emotion because that is important. If it's in your body, including your emotions, it is the truth. So I voiced it out loud. I said, "What an absolute asshole," in the privacy of my own car. Only Button was there to witness it, and she's witnessed much worse. So I voiced that, and then very quickly I realized that there was a part of me, like child self, that felt a little bit nervous about what happened. Like, oh, did I do something wrong? It's like that classic shame response. And what I did in response to that was I let go of the thought spiral that we can all get into when something like that happens. Like, oh, what a jerk. Like, how dare they do that to me? Like, why are people rushing like this all the time? Blah, blah, blah. Letting go of that. And just immediately tapping into this part of myself and giving love to it and regulating it. Because once again, a healthy, regulated nervous system is more important to me because it allows me to be empowered in the choices that I'm making and see the bigger picture of the life that I'm living. And also, it's just a way to create wholeness and love in myself. And the rest of my life mirrors that when I make those choices. And then somewhat tying into that, the director archetype cuts scenes that don't serve. So you can see how I did that with this truck example, this honking example. Rather than getting stuck in the mental loop, because becoming the director is not about the mind. That is main character energy shit. It's embodiment. It's happening here. Your mind, your thoughts are an illusion. I'm sure you've heard the saying, "You are not your thoughts." That is most certainly true. And that's not me bashing thoughts. I am clearly an incredibly cerebral person. I love my mind, but I also register that it is just a tool and it has a limited capacity. So, being in your body, like I was in that moment, allowed me to cut that script and just throw it to the floor. My mind wanted to latch onto that, and it's like brain food, and especially in the flavor of anger or whatever, we all kind of get addicted to that and want to swim in that circle. It's like being addicted to your own suffering. So being able to release that and tend to what's actually happening in my body is where real healing and real empowerment happens. So as a final note on some of this, I want to share with you that the director isn't in fight or flight mode. The director doesn't rush. They are grounded. They see. They feel. And it's through the truth that can only be accessed in that present moment that we reclaim our story, our unique timing. So I have some parting questions to ask you, to leave you with today. If you are comfortable sharing your answers in the comment sections below, I would truly love to hear it, to witness you, to hold you. But if not, I just ask you to hold these in your heart and maybe think about them a little bit. So, what part of your life are you rushing through right now that actually needs your presence, not performance? Where are you still being directed by urgency? And where can you reclaim your own pace? Okay, with much love, I hope you all have a great week. Thank you for being with me in this, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.